Welcome to the Real with Joseph Latman. I am Joseph Latman. Uh, I'm back, back to the Real with Joseph Latman. I'm finally back here. I took a month off, and man, it feels good to be back. Feels good to come back here today and share with you guys what I've been through this past month. If you're new here, like, subscribe, share this video. If you're already subscribed here, please like this video and share this content. But yeah, welcome to the Real. Happy Wednesday to you guys. Hope you guys have a good week. Happy Hump Day. Yeah, I'm back. I took a month off, which kind of was planned and it kind of wasn't planned. Um, but I'm gonna get into it today. What I've been going through the past month. All good things. All good things. It's just like I've shared in the show many times. I'm still going through my own journey and going through my own growth trials and things of that nature. So that's kind of what I've been going through the past month. Figuring all that out and just kind of just navigating through it all. But I've learned a lot in this past month, and that's what I plan on sharing with you guys today. Is just kind of what I've gone through this past month. It's been a lot of different things in my life that I've done that's happened around me and things that I've experienced, things that I've done in the past month. Now, some things I've done a lot of things privately in my own life too, like in my personal life, which I'm not going to share everything. Some things are meant to be kept private. But I've made a lot of growth this past month. And so it feels great to be back on my show today to share with you guys just a little bit. Because I learned so much this past month. There's a lot of things that I've thought more about that it's going to take me. I don't say it's going to take me, but I have a lot of ideas for future shows. And so I'm kind of going to break down today. I'm going to get into it now, kind of just break down a lot of some of it, some of the things I've experienced the past month, and even last week. Because last week, which I'm about to get into, was probably one of the toughest weeks I've ever been through. And so, without further ado, I'm going to get into it. So, last time you guys heard me on this show was about a month ago. It was December 8th. That was my last show. It was episode 55. I know since then I did like a walk and talk video, which that was very good as well. You haven't seen that, go check that out. But that was more of a reaction to a Browns game. And then I kind of just threw in a little bit at the end. But a lot of what I threw at the end of that video, if you watch that, was kind of what I was going through at that time. And so if you haven't seen it, go back and check out episode 56. It's a walk and talk. And towards the end of that, the end of that video, I was sharing a lot of things. A lot of what I was sharing was what I was figuring out about myself and what I was going through at that moment and that time. And so, but it's been a month since I've actually sat here and did like this, how I normally do it. And so, so where do I begin? So the month of December was, how would I characterize the month of December? I would say a lot of lessons learned, a lot of growth, but also there were some tough times, a lot of like growth trials, like really growing pains, I guess you could say. And that's what I would call December, growing pains and just stepping out of my comfort zone, letting go, like really letting go and just almost allowing. And some of the things I was involved with in the past month. There was a lot of times where I would be alone for periods, like just home by myself. And anybody that's followed my show for a while knows that a lot of what I've struggled with agoraphobia. And in episode 56, I actually break down agoraphobia and just kind of just agoraphobia, anxiety, health anxiety, depression. You don't like to be out of your comfort zone a whole lot. And so this past month, I was out of my comfort zone in a lot of instances. And there was a lot of nights where I was kind of, there was nights where I was kind of in different situations where I wasn't used to being in, I guess you could say, in terms of where my health anxiety really be put. My health anxiety, but also my comfort, really. My comfort was tested. And there's a lot of things I knew I had to do eventually that in my journey I knew I had to confront and had to do eventually uh, if I wanted to really, really take off and grow forward. And that's what I've done. Now, what are some of those things? Like I was saying, I was home by myself a lot more some nights, and that was something I struggled with. Still, was being at home alone at night for long periods, like for hours, is because, and a lot of us due to when I was going through it early on with this whole process 8 years ago. I remember I went from going from school every day for 10 years to all of a sudden I'm not going to school and I'm just at home by myself every day. And I'm 15 years old, going through it's 15, going on 16 years old, trying to figure out what the hell's going on with me. I'm going through level 9 10s of health anxiety. I'm having panic attacks, not just every day, but multiple times a day. I'm tired, I'm beat, and just my everything I was prepared. I had to, or not prepared, but I had this. I was going to go through high school. I was going to do all these things, and everything just gone like that. And so I'm at home, and and during those days, those are long days. But what happens is, and this is one of the things. The first thing I've learned about that, because here's what I've done now in the past month. When I've been in these situations, I put on more an investigative cap. I become more an investigator. And so when I get in those situations, I really start to think of it from a different approach now than I used to. And I've been slowly doing this for the past year, really the past couple of years, but the past year I've really started to grow, and really challenge these beliefs and these thoughts. And I've grown from them and moved on in a lot of ways. And so, but at some of these these longer periods when I'm home by myself, it was a challenge for me to because I would start to get flashbacks, and I would start to get certain feelings and symptoms from the anxiety from those past experiences. It's like stored trauma. Because man, in those days when I was home by myself, when all that first began, it was very torturous days. Just a lot of it's just you and your mind and the symptoms and the feelings. And it was just, like I said, at 15, 16 years old, really at any age, especially at that age, you don't know how to handle that. I didn't know how to handle it. Nobody around me knew how to handle it. And that was what was most frustrating at that time, was nobody around me knew what to do or what was going on. I went to my doctor, but a lot of doctors don't really know this. They'll give you a pill and it is what it is. That's all they know. And so, and that's what it was for me at the time. And so for years, I just got into a mode of just managing that. And what happens is, like with agoraphobia, you start to group everything together. And the second thing that I've learned through this whole process in this past month is just how much pressure I was putting on myself. Still, even up till recently. And I was aware of that, but just the pressure that put on myself, that you have to feel perfect. Everything around you has to be perfect. Your surroundings, everything has to be perfect and comfortable for you to do it. Because if it isn't, then you just what do? You avoid it. I can't do that, right? And over time, what happens is, like with agoraphobia, the more you avoid something, you avoid things in your life, you start to group everything else together. So what happens is, it all starts with one thing: perfectionism. And that's what I learned. What is really agoraphobia? For a lot of people, know my man, the anxiety guy, mentioned his journey with it. He was stuck in his house for 31 days straight, didn't even go outside. It's perfectionism. And perfectionism, like I said, if things aren't perfect, you avoid them. If things don't feel right, you avoid them. If you feel a certain way, I got to figure out what's wrong. I don't feel like, for instance, like what anxiety gives you, and people out there going through anxiety, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You get all kinds of symptoms, all kinds of weird. Anxiety gives you all kinds of weird symptoms, feelings, and a lot of times people really think, especially with health anxiety, you really think something's wrong with you, and so a lot of times it's like, I gotta get to the bottom of this. I gotta figure what's wrong with me, and that's why a lot of people constantly go to the doctor, constantly go reassurance seeking constantly. Or they got to have somebody with them at all times. They got constant reassurance and safety valves. Well, in the past month, I was in situations where I didn't have safety those safety valves and those comfort zones. I couldn't control them anymore. Like they were gone. Like I had no choice. I had no control. And so again, I had to take the perfectionism out of it. I had to let go of that. But also I felt like in a lot of those nights where I was figuring it out and investigating and kind of going from a new approach and all the things that I know and I've learned throughout the years, I've shared with you guys, tried to, and not trying, but applying them. I started to learn more and more and more just how, like I said, how much pressure I was putting on myself, but also just how much what do I want to say? How much just the movies we run in our head. And this goes for a lot of people, like for me. It's how you take something so small in your imagination, you start to run movies in your head. You start to, you make something more dramatic than what it really is. And I talk about this a lot with mental imagery is very key in the anxiety world. Mental imagery really is everything. It's really mental imagery could be the fastest way you could heal. You can get out of an anxiety quickly. Because if you're imagining in the head before something, if you're imagining the worst, it's the anticipation, right? And I'm about to get in the last week, because last week, what I went through last week was all about anticipation. And it gave me a lot of things I learned. Last week alone, like I said, I learned so much, but throughout the whole month. And throughout that whole month, when I was in those situations, and there were some other things I did as well in the last month. Some things I'm not going to get into because they're private, but there were some things in my own life the last month where I really don't know how to explain it, but almost just kind of like, and now I'm kind of transitioning a little more spiritually when it comes to this. You're constantly praying about certain things, or I feel like God's leading me to do certain things, where God's calling me to do certain things. And sometimes God will make us do things that we can't figure out, or that we don't understand why. And I was in a lot of those moments, going back to those nights when I was alone, going back to, when I mean being home alone, it's not actually being home alone. It's more of, I was in certain situations that I hadn't been in since back then, if that makes sense. It's been a long time. And so, I probably should have phrased it at the beginning with, but if you're following along with me, I'm trying to make sure I keep this all together as I'm talking through all this, because it's kind of a lot to unpack. So when I was in these situations that I hadn't been in for a long time, and the last time I was in these situations was when I was really going through it. So my last memory of that is then, right? And so now I'm trying to redo that, or now I say redo them, but kind of approach from a different angle this time. And that's really what's going on with me in the last month. And the reason for that is because the holidays, there was a lot going on. And so, but the past month I had a lot of time to really, like I said, in those nights alone, to really sit and reflect and really question those old thinkings I had, those old habits. And so, but again, those times and all those certain situations, but also doing things in my own life that really put myself out there, step out of my comfort zone in certain things I've done with people and with just a lot of things, all of it together. Really, it's just the last month I went through a lot of letting go, trusting God, and just having a lot of faith, not really knowing what the outcome's going to be, not really knowing how, as bad as I feel, or how uncomfortable I feel in certain moments, how strong the anxiety was at times. I just kept having the faith that I'm going to make it through. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. And that's going to be a theme for this show today, is you don't have to be okay to do. Everything has to be perfect to do it. A lot of times you're okay. And it's okay to just be okay. It's okay to not be okay. But you're fine. You're neutral. You're still. God had me in situations in the last month where I really realized that, he didn't put me in the situation unless I was equipped to handle it. And he showed me I was equipped to handle it. So, let me get into last week, because this is really the big thing. Last week, my father, who you guys seen on my show, he's not on this show, but he's been on my football shows, our post-game reactions, our lives we've been doing. My father had surgery last week. And so we knew it was coming, and it's the first time. It was a minor procedure, nothing big. He's good now. But it was last week was a challenge for our family because we've never really kind of gone through that. And my dad's the rock of he's the rock of our family, and so that was very challenging. But it was also challenging not for all of us, but even individually for us all. It was challenging on my dad. It was challenging on my mom. It was challenging on my sister even. But it was it was challenging on all of us. But it was really challenging on me because anybody that knows my dad and I, we're very close. We're very close for father and son. And so last week, his procedure was on Friday. And so as the week went on, we get to Monday. I'm kind of thinking about it, but I kind of don't. I'm trying to put it off. I don't want to think about it. I'm kind of just like, it'll be fine. It is what it is. And then as the week got closer and closer to Friday, the anticipation got higher and higher and higher. And I noticed just how, because this was a new situation for me. I'd never been in this situation before, where in essence, you kind of just have to, one of your parents, somebody you love, is just kind of, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, they have to do this, and you have to just let it go. You know what I mean? You really have to, that is the true definition of letting go. And it was very tough to do that for me because you can start to think of all the negatives. You can start to think of all the what ifs, and it's scary to think those kind of things, and it's normal too at the same time. We're human. But so, I'm trying to navigate through all this last week. I'm trying to, I'm in a new situation, and I kept telling myself I'm okay, and it's the way I was feeling was completely normal. I wasn't wrong for how I was feeling. It's completely normal to feel like that in that kind of situation. And so, but again, as the week went on, it got tougher and tougher and tougher and really tough. But what the week caused me to do was really open up to people more. It really made me break out of my comfort zone. It really just be 100 with people privately even more. Like, just share everything, almost like they live with me. Because what it taught me was this. It taught me, because I got in a situation as the week went on. When I got to Tuesday night of last week, I remember I went and sat somewhere. I got a lot of places I go to around where I live, especially in times like that, where I kind of go and just spend time with just me and God privately, and out of the house, away from the home, just a nice environment. And I remember Tuesday night I was sitting somewhere, and I remember I was kind of looking out towards, there was traffic out in the distance. I was watching, and I was sitting there just thinking to myself about the week coming up, and man, it just felt like a giant hill that I just felt like I wasn't gonna make it through. And I literally sat there and I was just like, how am I gonna make it through this? I can't stop this. That's what was killing me. I couldn't stop it. You have to really, like I said, you have to let go. And it was very agonizing to do that. And, but also at the same time, keeping myself together to make sure he's good to go and to make sure everybody else is good. You kind of put your personal feelings aside as well and put yourself second. And so, yeah, it was tough. And Tuesday night, I remember I got home and I was just really upset, man. I was really upset, and it just seemed like something very scary. But what it was doing was I was allowing the movie in my head to control my emotions, the negative illusion to control my emotions. And as I got to Wednesday, it got a little tougher. And as I got to Thursday, the day before, it got even tougher. For me, it gets tougher at night. And I went through something too during that last week that I've never really studied before. I've went through it before in the past, especially in that experience when I was playing football in high school with insomnia. And I've never really talked about insomnia on this show, but I'm going to be talking a hell of a lot more about it because I've actually experienced it again last week. Tuesday night, was it Tuesday night? No, excuse me, Wednesday night and Thursday night. I didn't sleep at all for 2 days, guys. I didn't sleep at all for 2 days, and it was just constant stress, anxiety, panic attacks. It was wearing on me. By the time I got to Friday, I was glad it was finally there. We were finally to Friday, but I was also feeling the effects of it as well. But again, through all this that last week, there was moments where I was, like I said, as it got closer to Friday last week, I was just very... it just got tougher and tougher. And it just felt like a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger issue. And I just kept saying to myself, how am I going to get through this? And I just kept praying, God, I know you're going to help me get through this. You wouldn't put me in a situation I would be able to handle. And all I had was faith. All I had was trust and things I can't control. And so last week, with that alone, that really goes hand in hand with anxiety. Because what's really anxiety for a lot of people? You're worrying about something. And for a lot of times, you're worrying about things that you can't really control. You're worried about things that are out of your, it's worrying about maybe what people think about you. You're worrying about how you may perform at something or whatever. And a lot of times, we don't control anything. All the time. We don't control anything, really. Only one person controls everything. That's it. And sometimes things happen to us that we don't understand. We get put in situations that we may not just understand. In the last month, there was a lot of things that happened before last week, in December, that we're slowly preparing, that I already was slowly going through it, and even some bigger events for myself. And then by the time I got to last week, I was already going through that, kind of letting go and accepting. But that was like the ultimate, like the bigger, because it's, like I said, it involves somebody you love and you can't control it. You can't stop it. You literally have to let go. And so, yeah. And so by the time I got to, I'm trying to recap. So Tuesday night, I was very afraid. I was very nervous, and that lingered into Wednesday when I got to Wednesday. Now, Tuesday night, I also made plans ahead of time for Friday. And what I did was I said, I'm not going to sit at home Friday by myself, because that's not going to do anything. That's not going to do any justice for me. It'd be better suited to go somewhere with a family member, to get out of my house. And it's good for me. It got me out of my comfort zone that day, because worst thing I could do is sit around all day Friday and just think about me, myself, and my thoughts. It's better to, when you're in those situations, this is another thing I've learned. It's okay to allow yourself to just be vulnerable with people, but also allow yourself to be vulnerable just being out. If you want to do something, go do it. It's okay. Again, not everything has to be perfect for you to do them. That's the theme of the show. That's just the theme I've learned the last month. And so, but it gets harder too. And I got a video coming up later on from my man, Dennis, one of his latest ones, about why healing anxiety gets harder, because it does. We'll break that down a little bit. But so I get to Wednesday, just getting through the day, going through it. Like I said, going through it, and it was still wearing on me. I was doing okay though. And then by the time I didn't sleep all Wednesday night, just thinking about it, up all night, could not sleep. And like I said, I'm really going to break it down into insomnia, because there's some people I know personally in my own life that have really, I didn't know really go through that like all the time. Like, it's a real issue that I don't think really gets addressed enough, in terms of, especially with anxiety and just traumas and things of that nature. So I ain't gonna be breaking that down a little more. But when I experienced that those 2 days, And I'm in a situation where I'm under a lot of stress, and I'm really just like I said, I can't control anything. It really made me think more just about that and kind of what that really is. And I started asking those people during those days because I was going through it. I was kind of like, hey, guy, I was texting people like, hey, what kind of helps you? Like, what do you experience when you're going through this when you can't sleep at night? Because insomnia too, when you can't sleep at night and you feel like crap the next day, it adds more fuel to what you're already going through, what you're already stressed out about, what you're anxious about. Because you become angry, you become irritable, you just become more. Everything just gets added to another level. It's like all the problems you just add to it. Like it adds to every single one of them. It amplifies them more. And so, and I was feeling it. And when I got to Thursday, I was on the phone all day with people. I was talking to, a couple of my good people, some people that have been on the show. I was talking to them all day, just trying to get my mind elsewhere and just tell myself, it'll be fine. But man, when I got to Thursday night, it hit me because it was the night before the procedure. And I had a moment. I had a moment at night at 10:30. I didn't sleep the night before, so I'm like, I gotta make sure I get some sleep tonight because I'm like, man, tomorrow if I don't sleep again, it's gonna make it worse on me tomorrow. And I'm thinking all the worst case scenario for everything. I'm just getting so caught up in feeling and emotion and thought, and I'm not staying focused enough on truth. Now, why is that? Because again, this is an unfamiliar situation for me. This is a brand new situation for me. So I never experienced this. So I'm trying to figure it out for the first time as well. And there's just all this going on. And so Thursday night I had a moment. It was like about 10:30 at night. And I was already feeling it. I remember I was in the shower at like 7. I tried to go work out. And I came home. And I remember I was in the shower. It was just, my mind was just running these movies. These mental movies of just the worst, like horrible scenarios. And just, it kept adding stress, and my anxiety kept getting higher and higher and higher. And I couldn't stop it. That was the thing. It's like, I can't stop this. There's nothing I can do about this. And so I had to allow. And I really allowed too, physically. Like, I got to 10:30. I started panicking so bad, guys. I literally laid on a bed and just started trembling, like just shaking, just like my nerves were so high for the last 2 days before that, even, and that day included, that it all just kind of hit me at once. And my nerves were just shaking and shaking and shaking, just like, and that's also part of that symptom. And I've learned this too from the anxiety guy. A lot of that has to do with control. When your body, a lot of these times, the symptoms you have are messages. They're connected to other things. They're signals. All right. And a lot of times trembling is the part that you can't control something. So you start to fear. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I had a plan in place for Friday, and I knew deep down inside that plan was the right plan, but I was still, like I said, this is all comfortable and new to me. And so, yeah. And so I was, I started shaking on the bed. I started trembling. And I just kind of sat there. I just said, you know what? I got to get through this. It's going to pass. I'm going to get through all of this. And you know what else? I just accepted. I said, you know what? If I don't sleep tonight, oh well. If I panic tomorrow, if something happens, I don't care. Oh well. If my worst fears or my illusions in my head that really weren't real happened, if the worst thing happened, oh well. It's in God's hands. I have to allow it. I have to accept it. That's a tough thing to do. But I was put in a situation, I got to a point where I was stressing myself so much, just trying to worry about it and prevent things and take measures of what to do, that I had no choice. I got to the point physically, mentally, spiritually, I was just drained. Like, I was just done. I just said, and I was kind of glad too it was happening the next day. Like, I was kind of like, I'm glad tomorrow's Friday, so I can get this over with. And but yeah, it's very when you get in a position like that where you gotta just let go, you really gotta trust God. You really just kind of gotta step up. And a lot of people really avoid and run from the situations, but I've been in situations in my past, especially this past year, where, and just in my last 8 years, all I've been through where I've kind of like, you know what? I've seen the other side of all those, and it's well worth it. You have to go. Sometimes you got to go through hell to get to where you want to go through, and that's what it was. So, especially as for yourself, as a man of God, that's where you really got to buckle up, put your faith in God, and just keep pushing forward. You can roll over and piss yourself and cry about it, or you can just get up, trust, no matter how you feel, take it one step at a time. You're not wrong for it, and just keep pushing forward. And that's what I had to do. And it was that night I had to make that choice. Did I sleep that night? Hell no. And to be honest with you, I had a couple panic attacks in the middle of that night. But by the time I got to Friday morning, they were getting ready to leave to head to the hospital to get his procedure done. And they dropped me off where I was going to my right around the corner. I have a family member that lives right behind me, so I got dropped off over there. And that morning I was feeling it, but when I got up that morning, I didn't get up. I was already up. When I really finally got up and started getting ready, I said, "Just go. Let's get to it. The day's here. God's got me." And man, it was crazy. Like number one, my dad was at such peace too. Which that actually kind of helped me, because my dad was I was more worried about it than my dad was. My dad was just kind of like, what, it is what it is. It'll be fine. And that helped me. So I was kind of like, okay. But again, by the time, until I got to Friday morning and it really got going, the anticipation did not stop. And so I need a drink of water, or tea rather. So Friday morning comes. I get over there to my family member's house. I was going to my aunt's house. And I just remember I saw my dad such more at peace. He was kind of like, I think he was kind of glad too to get it over with. And I started looking at all the positives. And man, by the time when I got to my aunt's house Friday morning, I walked in the door, all those movies and things I imagined went away. And I kind of just went in there and sat down and settled in, and I was at such peace. And I was just such like calm. And I knew it was the Lord. But I immediately started to tell myself, like, man, I sat around for a week. And I was already thinking this throughout the week, but it's hard in the moment, especially when you're doing something new and something like that, to that magnitude. Or not magnitude, but to that kind of what was happening. Right? And so I remember I was sitting there, I was just like, man, I feel okay. I'm all right. I'm here. Because I even I was running movies in my head throughout the week. Would I even make it to that point? Like, you don't think you're gonna make it at times, so you just feel like, I'm not gonna make it. The worst can happen, and it's gonna be terrible. But a lot of times, those movies are just illusions, like I've said. And so, by the time I got to Friday, I go to my aunt's house. I walk inside. Hey, how you doing? We're having a good time. We're talking, and it was. What really helped though was that I was open to my aunt about exactly what I was going. And she already knows what I go. She watched the show too. Aunt Jill, shout out to you. Thank you and love you for everything you've done for me, especially last week. But it was what really helped me though last week. And I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit longer than I wanted to, but that's okay, was being open with people and really just telling people really exactly where I am. And just kind of, this is where I'm going through. And that's kind of what I did the last month. All those situations I was in the last month, all of them made me go out of my comfort zones, not just in doing things environmentally, but also with people. It made me realize too just how important just being open with everybody is. Not saying you're gonna go out and tell everybody everything, but like just people around you, and a lot of times it's the people you don't expect. Not to say don't expect, but maybe the people you don't really. So yeah, maybe sometimes there's people you don't least expect that will really help you, and not like in a negative way, but more just kind of like like for me, my mom and dad are my two most supportive people because they know they've seen me through everything. They understand me better than myself. But again, I couldn't. My mom was with my dad, so I couldn't rely on them. That's the whole thing of this. I had to rely on other people because I needed, you need support. Now again, a lot of it was I had to get through it myself, but also at God. But you have to. It's okay to help other people, have other people help you. It doesn't just have to be certain people. Again, things don't have to be perfect for you to do them. And so, but I told my aunt throughout the week kind of what I was going through. And when we got to Friday, I walked in the door. I just kind of was telling her, "Hey, this, so I'm feeling a little bit," but it was okay. I felt comfortable. And all this whole time, what I was doing more was allowing. Just like the night before, I was laying on the bed having a panic attack, and I was trying to shake it real bad. I allowed it. I didn't try to fight it. I just allowed it. And in time, it went by. It stopped, and I actually felt better after. Because each time you become when things get harder, you become stronger. And the things in the future, if you really sit and take the lessons from them, they become easier. And so that's why I'm sharing all this today, is because all the lessons I learned the last month, that week, have prepared me for future things, which they'll be a lot easier. And so again, the wrap up, I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I was trying to break down a lot of the details throughout the week. But when I get to Friday, I get over there, and it was about 9:30. His procedure was at 12. So I'm doing okay, like I said. But as I got closer to 12, I was starting to get a little more anxious. I'm not going to lie to you. And because I'm like, okay, we're getting there. Well, we get to 12 o'clock. I get up. I was doing some stuff I brought with me, and my aunt was in the kitchen. And I just told her, I said, it's getting 12 o'clock now. You're supposed to be going in. And so I'm getting a little anxious. I'm getting a little worried just thinking about it. And it was the craziest thing ever. My aunt goes, she goes, "Oh no, I talked to your mom like 20, 30 minutes ago. They took him in early because they were ready, and he already went in, and procedure went well, and it's done." And I was just like, "Are you shitting me?" Like I thought it was 12 o'clock. It's getting ready to happen. I'm gonna sit around for the whole hour and a half, just kind of like waiting for the phone call. I hope everything's, No, it was that simple. And what it taught me was, and I immediately thought of God, and because I was God, and what God showed me was, I'm always in control. I was in control. I was the Friday before you even got the Friday, dude. And I was a lot of these situations and things I've done in the last month, things I was procrastinating and thinking about for a long time and overstressing them and overthinking them. He was already there. It was already planned out. And all these things I went through in the last month, those situations, those nights where I was home for extended periods, where I was getting like a little anxious, a little health anxiety just from the past. Like I said, because there was the correlation with past events, and just kind of step out of my comfort zone with certain things personally. All of them turned out to be pretty good. Like they actually turned out how I wanted them to go. And things, now again, was there pain in there? Yeah. Was there stress and worry and tough moments? Just moments, though. Keyword moments. Yes. Would I have some mental bruises, some scars? Yes. Emotionally, yes. But God was already there. And so while the time he was actually having the surgery, I was actually pretty cool. I was just sitting back over there chilling, just hanging out, laughing, having a good time. And that's really how you should be. As crazy as that sounds, it's okay to feel worried. It's okay to feel anxious. And I was still feeling, don't get me wrong, I still had anxiety and anxiousness. And I was feeling all the stress from that week, and not sleeping, all of that, it all hit me. I was all feeling it that day, trust me. And when I found out it was all done and his procedure went well, everything was great, he was coming in a couple hours, it all started to kind of hit me like this, the crash, I guess you could say. Just the crash emotionally. Like I remember I was over at their house, or my aunt's house, and I remember I just went and laid on a couch for 10 minutes. Once I found that everything was good, I just laid there on that couch, and I just laid there for like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I just said, I don't care. It's over with now. And I just laid there, just let it all hit me. Just all the emotion, the fear I was going through, just everything that whole week, that the physically just worn down. And so, but again, I share all this today with you guys, and I want to share this last month with you guys to share with you guys all these lessons that I've gone through, because I've learned a lot of things throughout this past month. I know I said a lot today and I rambled a little bit, which is kind of what I expected. But again, the key themes for today: allowing, letting go, uh, and just trusting. And things don't have to be perfect for you to do them, and the things don't have to be, you know, uh, if you're going through hell, it's okay. It's crazy that sounds to some people, and just how too I learned just how God was. I was in the God reminded me again. He was already in those days. They were already planned out, and God wouldn't have put me in those situations or led me to do certain things in the last month if He didn't think I was equipped to handle it, or if it wasn't. It was all in His will. As sometimes, guys, things happen that we don't understand, and I went through that the last month. I went through a lot of things that I didn't understand why I was doing it, why it was happening. Not everything. Some things it was kind of like, okay, yeah, I kind of get why, I kind of wanted to, but it's also kind of like, okay, it's a little different now. It's it's a little like, is this, it's easy to question yourself. Is what I'm getting at, and to try to stop things. But all the situations I was in, if I tried to stop them, all it did was add more stress to me. And that's what last week was. I was trying to prevent everything, prevent, but it was adding more stress to me. Well, it's not just allowing. And that night I had that panic attack that Thursday night, and I started shaking real bad. You know what that just uh, taught me was just that. Just allow it. Just allow. Like, trust God and allow. You don't need trust. Stop trying to prevent everything, adding pressure. Remember I said that earlier, pressure to yourself. That's all I was doing, was just adding pressure to myself. And yeah, that's what I learned last week. The last month, last week, was just all of that. And just the allowing, and just the pressure. And so that's why I was not on camera the last month. That's why you guys haven't seen me for a month. And it was kind of good to take a break too. I'm not gonna be honest with you guys. I mean, here I did. I've done 58 episodes now. This is 58, and probably 52 of them, 51, 52 of them are all about anxiety and spiritual stuff. So you guys have plenty of content to go back and watch anyways. So, but yeah, I mean, it's good to get back here to share this with you guys. I was looking forward to this day to be on the other side of it, but also to share the lessons and to take these lessons and to not only apply them myself, but to help you guys. Because there might be so many. One of you might be watching this right now. You might be going exactly through what I went through last week. And by the way, my dad's doing great. His recovery is going great. Everything's fine. We had a good weekend, just hanging out, relaxing, recovering, resting, and so it's been pretty good. Yeah, it's been really good, and yeah. But that's where I've been in the last month. That's a lot of things I went through. I know some things I didn't get into full detail about, just because some things, like I said, are kept private. But again, I was in a lot of situations that would make me very anxious in the past, and a lot of these situations this time, I couldn't. I had to. I had to do them. Like, because I'm be honest, there's a lot of times in the past, especially with agoraphobia. Remember I said talk about avoidance. There was a lot of times where I would avoid certain things. I would just wouldn't do them. I'd put them off, and I would just kind of like, you know what, I'm not going to do it. But the more you do that, you're just holding yourself back. And not only that, if things really aren't what you make them out to be in your head. I know that's easier said than done, but they really aren't. The more, like I said, the more you do these things, the easier they get. And so I want to play this video. I'm not even going to stop it because I don't feel like talking. I need a break for a minute. I need some water. But I'll play this video for my man, the anxiety guy, that is, hold on, let me get on the right screen here. It's exactly everything I just talked about. And he talks, this video just came out today. It's about 13 minutes. You guys got 13 more minutes. If you need to pause this, come back and watch it later. But please watch this video. And again, it's about, this is why, the title of this is why anxiety healing is hard, but not, quote, parentheses, but not impossible. Everything he's about to say in this video is exactly what I just went through this past month. And I can wholeheartedly now, and I've been going through a lot of these things, but the last month for me was like the next level. So if you want to call it that. And so uh yeah, I'm just gonna play this video and get some water, and yeah, I'm gonna get some water and just play this video. Let's get to it.
Today, we're going to focus on the difficulties of healing an anxiety disorder because it's time for the truth. Let's go. Warriors, welcome to another important video, my friends. Today, I'm really excited to share with you some of the reasons for why healing an anxiety disorder is difficult. You know, as we go about this healing journey, there's a lot of good things that we do. We integrate new ways of perceiving things, we change our behaviors, we do a lot of good things, but in the background, there's always a few things that hold us back. And this is unconscious. We're not really conscious of these things. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reveal to you some of the things that may be holding you back so that when you do take proper action towards healing an anxiety disorder, you actually get the results, my friends. Okay. So let's get into these. There are 5 points I want to share with you. First point is that you will suffer. Okay, you will suffer while you're healing. However, we have to understand that this is a different kind of suffering. When you go through an anxiety disorder, you are suffering the symptoms in terms of the endless mental chatter, the physiological symptoms, right? And the interpretation that the future is all doom and gloom, very pessimistic, right? This is anxiety. And we find ourselves worrying about things that we shouldn't be worrying about. So while you're healing, you need to understand that it's not easy. It's not a linear path. It's not straightforward. Many times when you embark on doing something different, integrating something new into your life, and you do that and you achieve it and you get some progress, many times there will be a roadblock and you have to really work with that roadblock, right? So while you're healing, you have to understand that you will suffer. Okay, you will suffer in different ways. And
I just want to stop on this point because everything I just said about this past month, everything I explained to you guys for 40 whatever minutes, exactly what he just said. You're gonna have roadblocks. And when you get face those roadblocks, that's when that's the moments. This is anything in life. Those are the moments you got to learn how to guide through, and almost how to make peace with it, and how to accept it. And yes, it's there. Yes, this is what's happening. Yes, this is how I feel. Yes, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but this is where I am, and for me, especially, a lot of my situation was God's calling me to do this. God's allowed this to happen. What am I going to do? I can keep focusing on the roadblocks, the what ifs, you know, all that, or I can just trust and allow and just follow my heart, my mind, follow what God's telling me, and just trust in Him and push through. That's what's helped me more than anything. This is really a spiritual component too. When you get to that roadblock, because you got to have trust, you got to have faith, and you got to have trust, faith, allowance, either in yourself, definitely in yourself, but also just God, people. You got to trust, and so Very key point there. I'm glad he made that point because that's really goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about, what I was going through for the last month. And so, yeah, let me get back.
As long as you anticipate this a little bit, right? You're not going to be so surprised and you're not going to give up on yourself so quickly and go, oh, I can't do this. I'm too old or I've suffered for too long, right? So understand that you will suffer, okay? And it's part of the journey. Secondly, you will be tested more and more, okay? When you go, okay, it's time for me to heal this anxiety disorder. It's time for me to be somebody else. I'm ready to leave behind a lifetime of worry and anxiousness and irrational fear. When you do that, the universe is going to go, okay, well, we understand your intention. So we're going to place into your life all sorts of external experiences that you have to go through to prove to us that you truly want to become what it is you say you want to become, right? So understand that you will be tested, my friends. And when you wake up in the morning, don't wake up in the morning going, oh, I hope I don't have any anxiety today, because you're going to be disappointed, right? It's going to show up in different ways. Instead, wake up and go, I'm really looking forward to the test today. I'm looking forward to the challenges, right? Through anxiety healing, you're finding and equipping yourself with many different tools to deal with these challenges. So, in the beginning, it's not very easy, but it gets easier and easier and easier the more you stick to what it is you're working on towards this healing journey, right? So, embrace the tests, embrace the challenges, my friends. If you have this mindset, I promise you that you are well on your way. Okay. Thirdly, you will want to give in. Okay. There will be a point in this journey where you're going to go, screw it. I can't do it. I want to give in. I want to give up on this whole thing. It's just not working for me. Right. I don't know if you're there right now. If you're there right now, comment below and interact with me. Let's have a chat. When you are faced with the reality of thinking, I'm just going to give in, it's important that you understand what you're going to give in to. Okay. I want you to give in and give up on the old mental patterns that continue to perpetuate your anxiety. I want you to give up on the perceptions over your past traumas. It's time to see those things differently. It's time to see your childhood in a more optimistic way, to say, you know what, these were experiences that taught me lessons, lessons that I couldn't learn anywhere else. So you want to give up on those old perceptions. You want to give up on any safety behaviors that make you tap into this illusion of safety, right?
I had to stop on that one because that I went to that a lot this past month, especially last week. But again, it's okay to not be okay. You can let go of your safety. You can let go of all that. It's okay to not be okay. And that's what I had to go through this last week and month. Because there was a lot of moments where I did not feel, you feel very vulnerable. And when your vulnerability gets tested, you're feeling it. You're feeling it symptoms, like, physically, mentally. And a lot of you just tell you, it's like a part of you. It's kind of like, what are you doing? Get the hell out of here. Run back to comfort. What are you doing? You shouldn't be doing this. What are you, nuts? But then there's the other side of you that says, you know what? And this is what helped me through all these situations. Probably more than anything. I viewed last Friday. You know what I kept thinking of that day, and why part of me was glad that day came when I got to it. And it's probably why I had a lot more peace. Not only because of God, but God showed me something through that. Why that peace you can have. Because you know what? I associated pain with what I was, to my past, what I had been doing, and I associated pleasure and freedom to what I want to be, who I'm becoming, and where I want to go. And that day was a turning point for me, another step forward towards that. That's how I approached it. And it's like almost like if you're a competitor, if you're an athlete or anything in life, if you're somebody, think of people that go to war, they're out in combat, getting shot at. They can either, and they gotta get from point A to point B to accomplish their mission and make sure they get out of there and go on and move forward. You could sit there and look at your fear in those moments, ask those guys, and I don't know what that's like, but that have been that, and I salute to everybody who served. Uh, but so I'm just using that example. But theoretically, as an example, at any moment in life, you face fear head on, or worry, or that roadblock, like you said, or that or just that safety valves. What you view as safe is telling you don't do it. Don't step out. Don't be vulnerable. Don't give it a chance. You know, you can either allow that to control you and to keep pushing you back. And what happens over time is you're just pushing yourself further and further away from it. And you're going to be missing out. You could be missing out on God's best. You know, it doesn't mean things are all going to happen just like that. You know, I've done some things in the last month that are just starting points for me towards certain things. But that's again, that's in God's hands. But I know I'm on the right path. I have no regrets. And that's the biggest thing. And this is something Dennis has shared in his story. When he was going through it, he associated a lot of regret. He said, imagine yourself being 70 years old, laying there, dying, or 80 years old on your deathbed or something. And you're thinking, you could be looking back thinking, man, I really let a lot of things go, you know. And I think in my last 8 years, 7 years, run the seven too, because 2022 is a big year for me. But before that, all those years up till that, I was isolated. I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do. And especially in the earlier years, those early years were tough. Especially when I was so close. I was around a lot of things I thought I was heading towards, and it was gone, just like that. And so it was very humbling, but it also taught me to. Um, it was humbling. It mellowed me out at first. After a while, I was a little mellow, but also just kind of just taught me how to be in the moment, how to be grateful, and how to really realize what you have, and that a lot of what you have is all you need, and you can make the most out of it. You don't need what the world says you need. And I hope I'm not getting a lot off topic here, but again, it all kind of goes together. Same thing with stepping out. And the reason why I say that is because when I think of those past experiences, they taught me all that. I think, man, if I can make it through that, but also all that I was missing in those times, relationships with people, and just being able to freely to live my life. I mean, hell, I went from not being able to go a block away from my house for a year and a half to what I've been able to do up until now, and I'm proud of that, and I'm grateful for that. But even in those moments, in those times where I can only go a block from my house for a year and a half almost, I still didn't have it as bad as other people, and that's what all that taught me. And so, with all that being said, is you know what? I'm grateful that's just. I'm actually grateful God took me through that. And anxiety and a panic and depression could be the best and the worst things that ever happened to you. It could be both. And it was both for me. I know it was both for Dennis. He's mentioned that. It's both for a lot of people. And that's what it was for me. But again, in those moments though, what I'm getting at is when you face those moments though, it's like that block's right in front of you. If you get around it though, it's freedom. You can either allow it, you can turn around and run the other way, or you could say, you know what, I'm pushing through this wall. I'm going around this wall. I'm gonna leap this wall, and I'm gonna be okay. I mean, I feel okay right now, but I'm going to be okay. And yeah, and so I love that point there. But I'm gonna finish out this video and then I'll close it up.
Right? So you want to give up on certain things, but you don't want to give up on the identity that you are looking to recreate, right? When we came to this planet the first few years, right, we were childlike, we were smiling, laughing, crying, we were very expressive. And then with anxiety, what happened was everything became more and more contained, right? Don't speak up, don't share your symptoms, don't go to the doctor, don't talk about your anxiety. People think you're crazy. All these delusional ideas that we turn into actions, right? That keep us more and more rigid, right? Next thing you know, we've got this body that we're tensing all the time, but we don't realize that we're tensing it. And then what happens is these physiological symptoms show up, and we're going, where did these come from? Well, you've lived a life of tension. Let me say that one more time because this is a more than anxiety moment. You've lived a life of tension. And all of a sudden, now at this part, this stage in your journey, you're starting to let go of that rope that you've been hanging on to all these years. And your system is doing everything in its power to say, no, you have to keep holding on. That's why these defense mechanisms show up all the time, right? You're talking to somebody and you get this itch in the back of your head. Why am I getting so itchy when I'm socializing with someone? That's a defense mechanism looking to pull you back into the old ways, my friends. There are tons of these defense mechanisms that show up throughout the day that we feel are a part of us, but they're not. They're a part of the protective sides of us, right? That want to pull us back in to a familiar place. That place is called the addiction to suffering. But we're tired of living there, right? So you will want to give in, okay, but never give in on this journey towards becoming a new identity. Give up on the old habits and perceptions that keep you stuck, okay? Very, very vital. Another point is some people will distance themselves from you while others will become overly sympathetic, right? So you've got these people going, oh, poor you. It's going to be fine. It's going to be all right. Don't worry so much, right? The future looks bright. Very sympathetic, right? But then there's going to be people that, why hasn't this person called me in a week or I haven't talked to them in like 3 weeks? Either way, here's the key, okay? Don't let either type of person stick. And what I mean by that is when someone's really sympathetic, don't get highly emotional around that sympatheticness because you're going to want more and more of that in the future, right? And you're going to do all sorts of positive and negative things to try to gain that sympathy. Next thing you know, you've created a secondary gain and you kind of want anxiety in your life all the time because it gives you the feeling that people care about you, right? And this is very, very crucial to understand. But either way, if someone's overly sympathetic or distancing themselves from you, understand that this is part of the journey, right? It's all part of the journey. Neither of it sticks. We don't go, why didn't that person talk to me or not talking to me anymore? Why are they so sympathetic? Oh, they care about me so much. Neither sticks. Focus back inwards because anything that happens externally is meant to be that way. None of it sticks, my friends. Okay. Key point. Finally, okay, this is very important. Your life will feel like it's falling apart. But the truth is, when your life feels like it's falling apart, it's actually starting to come together, right? You're going, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what career choice to choose. I don't even know who are my real friends or who are my fake friends. I just don't know. The I don't know stage of healing an anxiety disorder proves that you're well on your way. As long as you don't get emotionally caught up in the I don't knows, if you allow the I don't knows to be there and you continue to trust in this path that you're on, then you've got a tremendous amount of faith in your future. And if you've got faith in your future, there's no longer anxiety, because anxiety is this trying to control and have certainty around the future kind of idea and feeling, right? But if you've got faith in the future, you're going, whatever, whatever happens in the future, I can deal with it, right? Now you've healed your anxiety. Once you've healed your anxiety, don't go looking back for those familiar ways of feeling and things that you did, my friends, right? So, this is an important video because it will prove to you that some of the things that are happening to you are meant to happen this way so that you can get to the next stage in your healing journey over anxiety, my friends, right? And when you look at healing anxiety, try not to look at everything that you do, right, for yourself as a part of healing anxiety, if that makes sense. Or else you're going to go there and meditate and go, why isn't my anxiety going away? Here I am, meditating. I'm trying something new, right? Or I'm putting myself out there. Why do I still have anxiety? Don't do everything for the sake of healing anxiety. Do those things, right, for the purpose of bettering you and having new life experiences. It's all about mindset, my friends. If you've got the right mindset, I promise you the skill sets will show up. All right. Comment below on what the biggest epiphany was from this video. And remember that you are more than anxiety. Don't ever forget it. You are so loved in this community. And if you get the chance, please share this video and this channel with somebody or a group in need. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Uh, Great video there from my man, Dennis, the anxiety guy. If you're not subscribed to him, go subscribe to him. I'll link that video below as well if you want to rewatch it. Yeah, I mean, I know I said a mouthful today. Appreciate you guys for hearing me through that. But Dennis' video there, that's why I want to play that. It's kind of funny. He put that one. That was his one out, his latest one that came out today. Because it was everything I just went through, and everything I was telling you guys today was everything he just explained in that video. And so, but again, I love, and I'll leave you guys with this. I love what he said there at the end about the uh, just the faith and the trust. If you have faith and trust in the future, you're not really worried about a lot of things. You don't really worry at all. And so, but again, I like what he said too. Don't do things just to cure anxiety. And I got caught up in that for a while. And I've learned, like I said, I learned many lessons this last month. That was one of them, probably one of the main ones I learned. Because don't do it for anxiety. Don't do it for anybody else. Do it for yourself. And trust God. And if you feel like God's calling you to do something, or to God's got you in a situation that you may not feel comfortable about, you have to trust and let go, and to realize that uh, He's preparing you, He's growing you for something bigger. And when you do these things, when you put yourself out there, when you, like you said, meditate, or whatever you do, anything you do it for you, to better you, to help you grow, because you're trying to get somewhere. You have a goal. And just take it one step at a time, slow down. Not everything needs to be done in a day. you know, Things worthwhile take time. And I've experienced that, and wholeheartedly believe that, because I've seen it and I'm going through it and have been going through it. Things worthwhile that are really worth it, that are from God, and that, well, yeah, like things from God, things that are, uh, you know, things you want to do, things, your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. They take time. But it's worthwhile if they're really what your goals and dreams and aspirations are. They're worthwhile. God's will for you is better than anything. God's will for you is perfect. because God is perfect. And so, again, that's faith, that's trust, that's allowing and trusting in God. And so, and trusting in yourself and doing it for yourself. What's your why? And that's what I'll leave you guys with today. Ask yourself all the things I've said today. I've said a lot. And he said a lot there too. What's your why? When I got up Friday morning, I could have had a big meltdown and just allowed all that emotion and fear from the week to just control me fully. But I was in a situation where I didn't have a choice. And so I had to, and maybe this is a bad example, but I'm going to use it anyways. Imagine if three guys break, if you got a family, right? Especially as a man, you got a family. So maybe three dudes with crowbars breaking your house at night. You gonna roll over and pitch yourself and allow your wife and kids to defend themselves? Or you gotta do what you gotta do and go to work. If you know what I mean. So I was keeping it real. This is called the real. So again, I'm just using that as a mindset. Mindset wise, you can either roll over and pitch yourself and feel sorry for yourself and oh my gosh, or get up, get your ass up, and push through it. Doesn't mean you're not wrong for how you feel. It's okay to feel emotion. It's okay. You're not wrong for it. But you have a choice. How are you going to respond to it? And what are you putting your faith and trust in? And so that's the mindset. And so when I got to Friday morning, I viewed my mind, I kept my focus solely on everything's going to be fine. I'm going to get through this. We're all going to get through this. But this is also going to be how am I going to feel once I get through it? What's the effects after? What are the lessons I can learn from all this? This is a turning point for me. And that's exactly what it was. Was it easy? No. It got hard at times, really hard. But it was exactly that. It was a turning point. And I'm still, it took me a couple of days to unwind from all that, about 2, 3 days, up until about Monday night, then yesterday, and then today, because I knew I wanted to do this week to share all this with you guys, and just get back to doing this because it's like I said, it's been a month hiatus. Um, but yeah, just keep going, trust, allow, and have faith. And what's your why? And like I said, my why when I walked in that house Friday morning and they pulled off and I said goodbye, uh, it was I thought all the pain from the past and I associated where I'm heading with now into the future. And I was doing it for myself. I was allowing myself to be vulnerable for myself to be better. And so that is more than anxiety. That is a lot. I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. I know I said a lot. And remember this. This is something that I've learned from people that my counselor used to tells me this. And people that have people that have always helped me. Have always said, if you ever in a moment, just use this right here. Just think back and when you make it through something like I made it through last week, and you just kind of look and say, you know what, I am okay. I am okay. Write it down. I am okay. Just keep saying it to yourself. I am okay. And just keep going and put action to it because action breeds confidence and commit to the long term. I still have those two things in my thing. So good. They go with this. So I said, why not click them? But yeah, commit to the long term. And remember, I am okay. And so, yeah, whew, I'm a little tired from that show, guys. I'm not going to lie. But I'm glad, like I said, thanks. I'm glad everything's good, and hope you guys are good. Hope you guys learned something from this today. I'm glad to be back doing this. I'm looking forward to doing more of these. This podcast is going to start growing more. Like I said, I got a lot I'll be sharing with anxiety still. I got a lot more new things now just from my experience, just things I've been studying more spiritual things as well. I want to get more of those up. More interviews, and we'll get some newer people on as well. So stay tuned for that. But also, we're having some fun. If you haven't watched our lives I've been doing with me and Mike, my dad, and Corey, Dan. Now we got Chris Gerganis on. We're all just regular guys. We hang out, we talk about sports. We're gonna be doing a live stream soon during a game, and we might be. I'm still figuring it out. The Because if you've watched our live streams, go back and watch it. If you want to have some fun, have a good time. Oh, my man Jeremy Lynch has joined us as well, and we took a deep dive into Jeremy's Instagram one night. Jeremy was a good sport for that. Um, but yeah, go check those out. We're having a lot more fun on those. Those are more raw, more open, in terms of like just raw, in terms of just almost like you're just kicking back at, watching TV or whatever, a bunch or not watching TV. I don't know what I'm saying. Uh, just kicking back like around like at the bar with your buddies, or just hanging out around a fire and just spitting shit. And yeah, I mean, that's the only another way to put it. That's kind of what that is. Just talking sports or whatever, reminiscing about stories. So go check those out. Uh, those are a lot of fun. But like I said, we're gonna be doing a live stream soon. We want to do an in-game commentary. Now we can't play the game live on the screen, obviously, for copyright reasons. But we'll all be on the screen and we'll give commentary during the game. We might do the Bucks Cowboys game this upcoming weekend. So stay tuned for that. We're working on it, because that game, if you watch those live streams, we've already had a lot going into that game, a lot of trash talk. So that'll be a lot of fun that night. If we get that done, we will start doing those, and we will be going off throughout the playoffs. So stay tuned for those. Just I'll be thinking of more content for this channel. If you got an idea for me, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think about the show today, this episode, what you took from it. I'd love to hear that because I love your feedback. If you've been through something similar, what I was sharing today, maybe you're going through that, please share it below. And yeah, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And love all you guys. And just keep going one step at a time. Because we're all more than anxiety, and God is good. So I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Gone.